I feel like I should give a spoiler alert, or whatever they call that. A warning. My father died this afternoon. Oh, here comes a car. And yes, I'm never going to get this road taken care of, I don't think. And I have at least 2 cats following me. It's Pop. Horses up there. Okay, so here's what's happened. My father has had Alzheimer's. I've been taking care of him for a while. And he was in a home. He became violent. They sent him to hospital. Hospital basically drugged him into a coma. He was sleeping for 23 hours a day for weeks. And then they finally said, oh, he's all right. Let's send him to another home. Sent him to another home. And we thought he was in really bad shape because he couldn't walk, because he was totally atrophied, because he hadn't been walking. He'd been in a hospital bed. But they got the meds out of his system, and he was walking and he was talking, but he was also, again, violent. And he kept randomly getting up and punching people. And so the new home was like, okay, we can't handle him. He's got to go back to the hospital. Went to the hospital, did a psych evaluation this morning. And mind you, 2 days ago, he stood up, went across the room and punched a guy. Yesterday, he went to the hospital, to the ER, and was functioning totally. The psych eval that they did this morning said, okay, this is irreversible dementia. He's not going to get any better. There's nothing we can do for him. There's no medication we can do to fix this problem. I think that we should send him to hospice because he's not going to get better, and they can take care of him. My uncle called me at 10 this morning. My uncle has, he's in charge of, he's not the power of attorney. He's a guardian. I don't know. It's a legal thing. Anyway, he's been paying my father's bills. He called me at 10 and said he was going into residential hospice. I immediately was like, oh, what? Huh? He's dying? I'm like, well, they think, a few months or something. He went to the same place where my mother died. My uncle went with him to the hospice. It was early afternoon today. And he said he got settled. He said that he was pretty belligerent, that he was fighting the doctors and trying to pull his IV out of his arm. But that they did give him a quote-unquote painkiller. Now, how they knew he was in pain, who knows? Because he wasn't talking. I guess they just assumed. Anyway, he went to sleep because of the painkiller. My uncle was like, okay, I'm going to go home. He went home. He lives 20 minutes from this place. By the time he got home, he got a call saying, hey, he's taken a turn for the worse, and we expect him to not last the hour. So the hospice did what a hospice is good for doing, just getting people to die. So I called my son, who I was really surprised at. He's been super resistant to seeing his grandfather because, you know, it's hard for me to see him. I refuse to do the guilty thing. I could have seen him a lot more, but he didn't even know me. So all I was doing was upsetting myself to go. Anyway, my son wanted to be picked up, and I was like, oh man. That's like an extra 10 minutes, maybe he'd be dead by the time we got there. But he was still alive and breathing. We got there, and he died within the hour of me arriving. So he died about 3:30 this afternoon. So it was maybe 2 hours that he was in hospice before he died. And again, he was up and walking and eating and talking. And then suddenly he gets a painkiller at the hospice and he dies. Now, I don't know. This one place, might be like the worst hospice ever. I mean, I'm really impressed that they killed my father quicker even than they killed my mother, because she was actually sick. Anyway, so my uncle is really upset. His wife, they've been like just the two of them, no kids, together forever. Well, she had gone on a vacation to visit her sister or something, I don't know. So he's alone when this is happening, and he's never alone. And he also got a misdiagnosis of a stage 4 lung cancer. He actually did have lung cancer, and there were other things, but the other things were not cancers, and he hasn't spread, so it's really not stage 4. He has just finished his chemotherapy and radiation for it. What are you meowing at, cat? Anyway, he was really upset because, of course, he's like, oh, it's only 19 months apart. He's gonna die too. Oh my God. My poor uncle, I had to give him hugs. I had to give him hugs. He was so upset. And now I have to deal with all the friggin' family. Including my sister, who has, for some reason, been texting me at 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so I was trying to get her. She finally called at about noon today, she lives in California. That's 9 a.m. out there. She's freaking out, going, do you know what time it is? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I know what time it is. I know what time it is when you text me at 4 and 5 in the morning, too. Anyway, off to a great start. And I had told her that he was going to hospice, and she's just like, yeah, whatever, I don't care, I'm not coming. I mean, I guess it's good she didn't look for a ticket to come and see him, because he died like a couple hours later. Well, 3.5 hours later, or whatever. Anyway, but she's always been wanting nothing to do with my father since he forgot her name, because dementia. But she doesn't understand that. When he died, and I finally got in touch with her, she's like, I want to know, was it a stroke? Was it an aneurysm? Or was it what? I'm like, it's dementia. In a way, this is good. If they were thinking 2 weeks to 30 days, what they were going to plan on doing was, he's not eating. He can't eat. He's forgotten how to eat. Let's just let him starve to death. That was, I'm sure, their plan, but instead they doped him to death. And that's kinder, I think. I don't know that all hospices are like that. This is my experience with this one hospice. They did it twice. I'm pretty pissed off about that. But not surprised. But pretty pissed off. Anyway, and then somehow is talking to my sister. She wants nothing to do with anything. And somehow, because there is some money, and I'm like, okay, I mean, not a lot, but some money. I'm like, okay, what do you want? Do you want to have a big funeral? We'd cover that. Or my best idea, I've been thinking about this for a while, is to get one plot for both of my parents. They're both going to be cremated. I still have my mother's ashes in the house. Never opened them at all. I'm not interested in it. So it would be both of them. We could figure out if they let us bury them together. Or we could just take the money and split it and go. I think she's going to go with what I think was the best option, which is to bury them together. So tomorrow I have to do all that. I have to get in touch with the cemetery. I have to see what the requirements are, if it's possible to do that, what the, I'm sure there's specific urns or something. I don't know. How much is it going to cost to do a burial? I don't know. All that stuff. Like I said, we're going to have money. I've got to sort it. It's technically an inheritance, and we got to get that sorted. But because he's being cremated, and they'll give me the ashes, same as my mother, we can do this in a little while. My sister is suggesting, a few weeks. So, end of August or the beginning of September, probably. And I have to deal with all the rest of my relatives, which I've always had less contact with my father's relatives, but they're nicer than my mother's relatives. So, I don't know. And if we're interring both of them together, it's probably going to be all the relatives. And my mother was one of 5, and my father was one of 6. And they all have kids, and their kids have kids, and it is a shit ton of relatives. Plus, who knows if, my father's cousins want to come, my mother's cousins, I don't know. Oh my God. I do know that my sister wants to come. She's probably not going to bring her entire family, but she wants to come. That's nerve-wracking. That's extremely nerve-wracking. On the other hand, my grandmother lived with Alzheimer's until she was 91 years old and died of stomach cancer. And at the end, she was terrified of everybody. What pop? And, if somebody turned their back to her and turned back around again, she didn't know who they were, and it was horrible. And he didn't have to get to that point. He got to the point where he was having severe hallucinations. I've never heard of this before, but whatever. Just doctors are telling me this, so he said he was hallucinating murders and death and terrible things, and so it's probably for the best that he has this peace. I don't like that he went to the hospice and how they treated him. It was such a shock. It was so fast, which makes me think that he was, as soon as I heard this place that he was going, immediately what I thought is, oh, he's being euthanized. This is where the ghost is, by the way. Don't hear anything right now. Poppy, that's not where you go. That's somebody's backyard with their lights on. You're going to get lost. Poppy. Pop. I don't know, I'll get him on the way back. Maybe. So yeah, I'm going to have to deal with all my relatives. I started getting texts from people at work because I was actually going to work tonight, and I was like, I'm thinking I won't be there. And I actually, because I'm stupid, I tried to work, I was supposed to start working at 4, and I tried to work at 8. And I lasted about 45 minutes. And I tried, but I just couldn't concentrate. And so it was a real failure at working. So I was like, I think I need to tap out. And my supervisor was like, yeah, go ahead, you tried. I tried. I had a thing on my list to do today. I had to work a certain number of hours from a certain time to a certain time, and I did not do it. And that's like, oh my fucking God, as you know, from the issue I went through last year. I don't like having something to do and then not doing it. Anyway, what else? I don't know. How is this affecting... Oh, let's turn around. Where did cat go? He probably went down somebody's yard again. How am I dealing as far as the AVPD part? Okay. I've been working like mad. Not this very past week, Pop, but the week before we had a bunch of people on vacation. And I flippantly said to my supervisor, yeah, I can work up to 60 hours this week. I work 59 and a half. So never ever going to make a joke like that again, that's for sure. This week I worked less. Because I'm skipped an entire day, I'm probably going to end up working... I don't know where that cat is. I hear him. Poppy, come on. He's confused by the lights. Probably going to work about maybe 30 hours, which is better, but whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I was saying to somebody, and it makes me want to puke, and I don't know that it's accurate. I think that this job that I've been doing, because, I had to be, like, supportive and upbeat and friendly to people. You can't do my job and be, like, glum about it. You have to sort of... I don't know where that cat went. I mean, I suppose I could, but I don't know. I usually not. I put on this, like, I don't know, because I can fake being nice for short bursts of time, and that's what I can do in this job. Well, and it's like, as far as interacting people, like 90% or more of the people that I interact with are from work. And so I'm like, there's the cat, doing this fake it till you make it thing. And I think I'm becoming more friendly. I mean, it's a pain in the ass, because then I don't know, people want to interact with me more, and that is a problem. I mean, it's good for, like, what happened this time, which was my supervisor was pretty okay with me doing whatever the hell I want to do tonight. That I started so much later and then left so early, and worked such a short amount of time, and I got credit for trying. But, I'm getting random texts, people saying, I'm sorry about your father. And I'm like, I have no freaking idea who these people are. And it's stressing me out. And that's going to continue for at least a month until he's in the ground. And I do feel bad for my uncle. He's so upset and so freaked out. He had, did I tell you? He was misdiagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer because he did have a spotted cancer, and then they found these other lumps, but they're tumors that are not cancerous. So they knocked out the cancer. They're going to confirm that, and then they're going to do something with these other tumors. They're probably just going to go in and remove them. So he had a really bad scare. And this is my aunt, who has been in my back. She's a pain in the ass. There's no question about it. She's like on me. Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? I'm like, yeah, I did. I said I was gonna. I did. About my father, she's been very micromanaging stuff. Like, does he have enough clothes to wear? And I don't know what the hell's going on. So, I don't know. I don't know where Percy is. Then again, I can never see him. He's probably like right behind me, because that's what he does. He does this stealth thing. And Perry is not out tonight, and Pansy has the heart issue, so she almost never goes for walks. I don't know, I'm just super distracted. In shock. My father has not been much beyond a burden. Although, again, I've told this story, since he sort of like lost his mind, he actually became nicer. Like, for the first time ever. And I was also shocked at my sister. I wasn't talking with her, I was texting with her, and we actually sort of came up with an answer and a solution. And I had to cut her off when she's like, oh, my uncle, I thought he would go first, because he would probably have a heart attack because he's so fat. And I'm like, oh, can you just not be snarky for 5 minutes? I was just ignoring her at that point. And I'm like, okay, these are the things I'm going to do tomorrow. How about the thing you can do is you can look for a headstone. And she came up with this humongous bench. It's like the size of a plot. It's like way too big. I'm like, oh my goodness, you realize we're putting them in one plot, not two. That is the point. They're both cremated in these tiny little boxes. So we'll just stick them into one grave together. I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking, but whatever. I'll talk to the people, and I'll come back with what they suggest. I don't know. So that's tomorrow morning, and I'm probably going to work tomorrow night. I don't know. I'm already more lucid now. I was just, again, I felt obligated that I needed to work. They didn't need me there. It was one of those things where if I was there, everybody's stress would be slightly lower. But because there was definitely work to do. But there wasn't so much work that they absolutely needed me. They were like really on top of things. But it was just, less stressful to have an extra person. I don't know if that's making any sense at all. Plus, I'm sure that there are lots of people that don't work later. The way I work, I prefer to work when there's a lot of work to do. So I will work later in the day because there is work and a lot of work to do sort of in the second shift period, but there's less people that want to do it. So I don't think it's quite more work, but it's a lot of work, fewer people, which means that I can keep busy and keep working and not stop, which is what I prefer to do. It was steady. Although not really. I mean, it was, I don't know. I only did like one job, and there are times in 45 minutes I've done 3. So, because it is quick, as quick as possible, get my stuff done. I don't know. My work is weird. What can I say? But, I mean, it's weird that my father died and 4.5 hours later I'm working. That's go ahead and rip that one apart. That means that's the unworthiness and other people are more important, and yeah. But anyway, whatever. I gave it a shot, and it didn't work. I couldn't think well enough to actually do my job. So rather than do a half-assed job, I just stopped, and they were okay with that. And the fact that I cover for other people and I'm almost never out sick, and that they didn't give me crap, even though I expected to hear like, "Are you serious? You serious? He died." Like, oh my God, that's such bad timing for us. Actually, it's because my supervisor was there, but not her supervisor, because her supervisor absolutely is so selfish that she would be like, "Are you serious?" Like, just when I'm going to need the people to help me get this done, you decide to have your father die. I'm sure she would have said some bullshit like that. But anyway, whatever. I'm spinning my tires. Actually, I think I'm spinning my tires less than I normally do. But I feel like I'm talking over all this stuff. So, what's been happening? Nothing. Basically nothing. Everything is the same. And then all of a sudden, a whammo this afternoon, without warning, because the hospice does what a hospice is supposed to do. My father, quote unquote, took a turn for the worse, and now everything has changed, and I'm going to have a crazy month. But that's okay. It will be over sooner than later. Lots of friggin' relatives, though. Oh my God. I don't feel so bad because even my father had 2 brothers that they couldn't get a hold of. So I'm like, it's not just me that's not having anything to do with the family, and the family's so splintered. They did it too. One of my cousins was like, "Could you give my condolences to your sister, because I'm not in contact with her." It's not just me that's doing this no contact thing in my family. I guess everybody's doing it. So anyway, so that's what happened. Very shocking turn of events. And one less big thing that I have to worry about. So basically there's only one family member left that, I'm saying all this family, but these are people that I don't interact with. Only one that I have left that I have to deal with is my son, who, he's been doing okay. And I hope he continues to do okay. And, oh boy, that's probably my cat. Just freaked out this boy and made some noise in the woods. Maybe it's a possum. It's probably my other cat. Anyway, yeah. I don't know when I'll make my next video. Probably to bitch about how I've been mistreated by my sister. I was stunned that she was so together. She obviously wasn't drinking, that she could resist the urge for the most part to be snarky and fight and actually get to the bottom of some things. And I think she appreciated that I was asking her opinion about, like, for instance, what she wanted for a headstone. What did she think about this? I don't know. I mean, she was wicked because she always used to be mad if something, I mean, like a few years ago when I fell and broke my wrist, it was so terrible. She was mad that I didn't call and tell her. I'm like, what? You live on the other side of the country. There is nothing you can do to help me. You're not the priority. She's so mad I didn't tell her. So I was like, God, I gotta call. She wouldn't answer the phone. She wouldn't answer a text. She refused to have anything to do. And then she was mad that I told her because she's like, yeah, well, whatever. I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so my sister's being my sister, but for a brief moment, she wasn't as bad as normal. And I'm just going to take every decision she made and run with it. Say, hey, you said this once. That's all you need to say it. Anyway, I'm going to shut this down, get the cats in the house, have a nice rest, hopefully. Maybe actually get some sleep. Start making the calls tomorrow. And back to work. And that's what's happened.